We will do questions on the inventory valuation method, FIFO, when we use the periodic or the perpetual inventory system. Now, you must remember that FIFO means the first in, the first purchases, first out will be sold first. So it means that I will first sell all these goods that I had at the beginning of the year. Then when I purchase goods and I sell goods, I will first sell those, then this lot. So in the end, if you want to work out what is the cost of sales, you will take all your purchases at the beginning of the year up to the number of units that you've sold, because you sell the first purchases first. If you want to calculate the cost of your closing inventory, it means that the goods that were not sold at the end of the year, that's your value of your closing inventory. So it will be the last purchases, and if it's more than 100 units, it would be some of those units in the previous purchases. Okay, so if we do the periodic inventory system, it means that we don't have to calculate every time when we buy or sell goods how the inventory was affected. Did it increase or decrease the inventory, or what was the cost of sales? When you use the periodic inventory system, at the end of the year, we do a calculation to determine what is the cost of sales and what is the value of your closing inventory. Okay, so if we look at this question 4, when we use the FIFO method with periodic inventory, we can use an easier method to do the calculation. So here we've got 80 units at the beginning of the year that cost 4 Rand. So it means the total cost was 320. When we do the cost of purchases, we don't take any of the sales into account. We just take the purchases into account. So we bought 100 units at 5 Rand, gives me 500 Rand. Don't ignore the sales. The next purchase is on the 28th. We bought 200 units at 6 Rand, gives me 1,200. Then I buy 150 units at 7 Rand, 1050. Then we return some of these goods that we bought there. So I must indicate that my number of units decreased with 30 Rand. The cost price when we purchased it was 7 Rand. So that means it will give me 210 that my cost will decrease with. Then we purchased again 100 units at 7 Rand 50, cost 750, and we purchased 100 at 8 Rand, and that will give me a cost of 800. So if I add the total number of units and subtract the 30, it means that the total number of units that we had available this year was 700. So we had 700 units. Then you go and you say, where did I sell? Sold 100, sold 240, sold 150, sold 150. So if I add all the numbers that I've sold, it indicates to me that I've already sold 640 units. So in my closing inventory, I will have 60 units left over. Okay, if I add up the total cost, it will give me 4,410. Okay, now we sold all the first ones that we bought. So those lot were sold. We've got 60 left over, so it must be in my last purchases of 8 Rand. So I will multiply the 60 with 8, and that means my closing inventory is worth 480 Rand. Okay, if I want to calculate the cost of sales, I sold the first products first. So it means cost of sales, I will say the 80 that we paid 4 Rand. Then we bought 100 for 5 Rand. Then we bought 200 for 6 Rand. And then here you must remember 150 minus the 30 that we returned, so it means we had 120 that we could sell, and they were 7 rand. And if I take the 1050 and I subtract the 210, it will give me 840 rand. Okay, then we also sold the 100 times 7 rand 50. And now if I add up, I get to 600. But we sold 640. So it means of this last purchases, we sold 40 of them. And the last purchases cost 8 rand. So that will give me 320. So if I add up all these, it gives me a total number of units sold of 640, and the cost price of those units sold was 3,930 rand. So I can calculate the cost of sales by taking the first purchases and showing that we sell all the first ones. The closing inventory will be included in the last purchases. Okay, if we use the perpetual inventory system and we do the FIFO method, now we must remember in the perpetual system, what do? We calculate the cost of sales after each item. So every time when I sell or purchase goods, I will work out the cost of sales and I will determine the value of my inventory, how the value was affected by this entry. Okay, so we're going to use these columns. Anything where we purchase goods will be recorded in the purchases column. If we sell goods, it will be recorded in the cost of sales column at the cost price, not the sales price, and the balance to determine how many goods are left over and what is the value of those goods. Okay, so on the 1st of January, they tell us that we've got 80 units that cost 4 rand, so that gives me 320. So that is my bundle number 1. If I use the first in, first out method, it means the first things that I buy, I will put in one place. The next time I buy, I will put it in another spot. The next time I buy, I will put it in a third bundle. So it means when I start selling, I will sell all the goods in bundle 1. After all those were sold, I will take things out of bundle 2. So I always want to sell the old inventory first and not the last inventory. Okay, on the 9th, we bought 100 units at 5 rand with a cost of 500. Now, because it's a perpetual system, we have to calculate every time how many units we've got and if there's any of those units left over. Okay, so this is bundle number 2. Sorry, that line mustn't be there. So 2 is 100 units at 5 rand, gives me 500 rand. So now I've got 2 bundles. Okay, the third one we sold 100 units. So it means if I sell, I will first sell the old ones. So I will take out of bundle number 1, 80. And then because I'm selling 100 units, I will have to take 20 units out of bundle number 2. So that will give me 100 rand. That means I've got nothing of bundle number 1 left over. I've only got things left over of bundle number 2. And I had 100, I sold 20, so it means I've got 80 left over. And that gives me 400 rand. Okay, then we purchase goods again at 6 rand. So under purchases, I will indicate that I buy 200 at 6 rand. The total cost is 1,200. Now I've got a bundle number 3 of 200 at 6 rand, cost 1,200. On the 1st of April, we sell 240 units. So it means if I sell, I will first sell the old ones. So I will take out of bundle number 280. That cost me 400 Rand. I am selling 240 units. So if I subtract the 80 from the 240, it means that out of bundle number 3, I take 160 units with a cost price of 6 Rand. That will increase my cost of sales with 960. Okay, now from bundle number 2, we've got nothing left over. We sold all of it. From bundle number 3, we had 200. We sold 160. So we've got 40 left over at 6 Rand. And the cost of value of that is 240. Okay, on the 14th of April, I buy 150 again. So my purchases increased with 150 units at 1,050. And now I've got a bundle number 4. 150 times 7 gives me 1050. Okay, then we return goods. So it means of this 150, we must indicate that 30 was returned at the price that we paid. So my total purchase expense will decrease with 210. Now, I didn't do anything on bundle number 3. That remained the same. I took some of this 150 to return it. So I will indicate in bundle number 3, I've still got 40 at 6 Rand. And now I will indicate that bundle number 4 was 150. We returned 30. So that means I've got 120 left over that I purchased at 7 Rand. And that would give me 840 Rand. Then on May the 25th, we purchased 100 again at 7 Rand 50. So purchases will increase with 750 Rand. And now I've got a bundle number 5. 100 units at 7 Rand 50 gives me 750. The value of my inventory will now increase. On the 28th, we sold 150. Okay, now remember that when we sell, we have to sell the oldest ones first. So I'm first going to take all those in bundle number 3. So it's 40 times 6 gives me 240. I'm selling 150. They sold 150. So it means out of the next bundle, I must take 110. That bundle costs 7 Rand, so that will give me 770. Now in bundle number 3, I've got nothing left over because I sold all of it. In bundle number 4, there was 120. We sold 110. So in bundle number 4, we've got 10 left over with a cost price of 700. And then we've got everything left over in bundle number 5, 750. On the 17th of June, we purchase stock again, 100 at 8 Rand. So it means purchase 100 at 8 Rand gives me 800 Rand. And now I've got a bundle number 6 of 100 units worth 800 Rand. Okay, then on the 29th of June, we sold 150 units. So it means I must take it out of cost of sales. I will take the old ones first. So out of bundle number 4, I will take 10. I'm selling 150. So it means I'm going to take everything out of bundle number 5. That gives me 110. So I need 40 more. So out of bundle number 6, I'm going to take 40. So now I've sold everything in bundle number 4 and 5. Bundle 6 we had 600. We sold 40. So we've got 60 left over. And the value of my closing inventory is then 480. I will add up the total purchases, and that will give me 4090. And I will add up my total cost of sales, 3930. Okay, so I've determined now, when I use the perpetual inventory system, but with FIFO, this is my cost of sales, and that is the value of my closing stock. Okay, if I go and I compare now the perpetual inventory results with the periodic inventory results that we calculated. What did we say in the FIFO method? The closing inventory was 480. And there we also got 480. Then if I look at my cost of sales is 3930. And here the cost of sales is also 3930. So it means if we use the FIFO method, and whether we use perpetual or periodic, we will get exactly the same answer. Because in the periodic system, you don't go and calculate every time what is the cost of sales figure. So if they ask you to do the FIFO method, whether it's perpetual or periodic, you can do this easier calculation because you will get the same answers. This is very important. This is in the FIFO method. I'm going to show you now, if we do the weighted average method, that it will not be the same.